Hello, broadcasters. Welcome to episode 261 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. My name's Geige, and I'm here with Dan, of course. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah, it should be a good week this week. We got a fun announcement for tonight. And for anyone new here, Dan and I are the founders of StreamYard. We do these town halls every single Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific, and we do them for a few reasons. One is to stay in tune with all of you, go through the same flow that you all do with your own shows and productions. Two is to answer any of your questions. That's where we're calling it Ask StreamYard. So if there's anything you'd like us to touch on tonight, feel free to leave it in the chat. We'll do our best to get to as many as we possibly can. And I always mention the three pillars of StreamYard, which are ease of use, stability, and professional stream. So if you're about those three things, StreamYard is a tool for you. I see folks from all over the world tonight. I think I saw the Philippines, Clarine as usual from Oklahoma. It's great to have all of you here. Happy New Year to all of you. Before I forget, we have some awesome shows on StreamYard. We have YouTube channel reviews with Dee and Daniel the second Saturday of every month. Really fun show if you're looking to grow on YouTube. Both of them are pros when it comes to all things video and all things YouTube, but it's fun because they pick out individual channels and give specific advice on how to think about things like your thumbnails, analytics, understand your audience, stuff like that. And then we have Enhance Your Live Streams the last Tuesday of the month with Nick Nimmin, who also is a pro when it comes to all things video. So check that one out for your specific live streaming questions. And then one thing we've been doing at the start of these so that we get to can't talk, so that we get to know a little bit more about you and you get to know a little bit more about us is a fun fact. And the fun fact we had for tonight is if you had to pick your favorite sitcom character, who would that be? Do you have one in mind, Dan?
That's a tough one. I find there's so many specific characters that maybe just appear for a specific episode that are always pretty funny. I would say my favorite sort of more stable long-term character is probably George Costanza from Seinfeld. How about you?
Absolutely. Of sitcom, Seinfeld was definitely my favorite sitcom. So it has to be someone from Seinfeld. And George would definitely be up there for me, but I think his dad would probably maybe be tied or number two. So Frank Costanza from Seinfeld is quite the memorable character.
Yeah, quite a unique guy.
All right. Let's do a few questions here, and then we'll get into the announcement for tonight. Flames Nation, I see your comment about an issue you're having with backgrounds and overlays. If you could send an email with maybe like a video of what you're experiencing, that would be super helpful. Or even in the chat as well, because Dan and I will look at it after, just a little bit more description on what exactly is happening there.
Yep, that'd be great.
Let's see. Still Knicks fans says, question, will there ever be a way for us to filter the chat in our live streams so we can see all the comments from a specific user? That's a cool idea. Still Knicks fans. Yeah. Like ability to say, like click someone and see all of the comments they've made. That's definitely something we'll think about. I appreciate the suggestion there. We definitely want to continue improving the chat in general and make it easier to surface relevant content. But yeah, I definitely could see how, if there's a particular user you want to see maybe a history of everything they've said. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, and I'd also just be curious what the main reason is for wanting you to do that. Like why you want to filter for one user. That would be helpful to know. Just because it's possible there might be multiple ways for us to solve whatever kind of the underlying problem is for you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see what else there was here. Packer Dude says, has StreamYard gotten their play button for hitting 100K? Yes, we do have the play button. We showed it a few shows ago. Oh yeah, I think Dan still has. There we go. Yeah. Thank you all for being part of that. We appreciate it.
Very cool.
Let's see. Peter G says, hey, as glad as I am about getting to go live on Instagram, please let us know when it gets as easy as all the other platforms. Right now it's a start, but not there yet. Love you guys. Thanks, Peter, for the comment. Yes, we absolutely want it to be easier, and we're giving Instagram and Facebook that feedback. Unfortunately, we've tried to do everything we can with what's available to us to make it as easy as possible, but there's a lot of limitations that make it difficult for us to make it super, super smooth. But yeah, we'll absolutely let folks know as if and when things get easier. And I'm optimistic that they will get easier because we're definitely trying to pass that feedback along.
Yep. Yeah, it's very exciting that this is kind of the first time they've allowed anyone to stream to Instagram from outside of Instagram. So huge step forward, I would say, but totally with you that it is quite a process compared to the other ones. We're trying to make it as easy as we possibly can, but there's obviously a lot of limitations on Instagram's end, but hopefully not for long. Hopefully they do improve that.
Absolutely. Let's do a couple more here and then get into the announcements. Troy says, could there be a way to incorporate the chat from a Discord channel? That's a cool idea, Troy. So right now there's definitely not a straightforward way to do it. Like there's no direct Instagram integration with Discord, but integrating more with stuff like Discord and or just giving a little bit more flexibility when it comes to doing custom integrations in general is something that we're open to. So we'll definitely keep that in mind. But as of right now, I mean, Discord would be great for like getting feedback before the show starts, like having a place for people to share ideas or questions beforehand, and then you'd be able to incorporate them in the show with stuff like banners. But in terms of like automatically getting it into the show, there's not a direct integration in the same way we have with things like YouTube and Facebook at this time. And one more here, and then we'll do the announcement and get back to some questions. Scientology says, question, can we automatically star certain users' comments? That's another good suggestion. Right now, starring is manual, so you have to like select the star itself, unless there is the feature actually, Dan, for super chats where you can opt to have them automatically starred, right?
So yes, by default, super chats are automatically starred. Super chats, super stickers, new memberships on YouTube, stuff like that. Those are the only things that are automatically starred. There's no feature right now where you can choose to automatically star a certain person's comments, but useful feedback, and it makes sense. I can see if you have like a kind of hardcore user or something, like a really loyal fan, you want to make sure that you see all their messages. So yeah, I'd be open to adding something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the suggestion. See, there's lots of other questions here. We'll get back to the questions in just a second, but I want to make sure we have plenty of time for some of the fun new stuff we had for tonight, with the big one being Portrait Studio. So really excited to launch this. Definitely have gotten feedback for a long time that folks were interested in having the ability to not always go 16:9, but also have the option when it made sense to go in the sort of mobile format of Portrait. And we've got a video showing off exactly how it works. Anything to mention beforehand, Dan, or should we say that play the video and then talk a little bit more about it after?
I don't think so. Yeah, let's play the video and then we can answer some questions and maybe add a bit more detail.
Perfect. Here's the video from Dana.
Portrait mode is here. You can now stream or record in vertical format, also known as portrait mode or 9:16. We recommend it if Instagram is the main platform that you care about. To enable portrait mode, head to the studio, click settings, click general, then click to enable portrait mode. Portrait mode turns the studio output into a vertical video. You may want to upload portrait graphics and videos or brand assets that are 9:16 format. If so, consider creating a new brand to keep these assets separate. There are a few unique things about streaming in portrait mode. In portrait mode, your comments, banners, and tickers will show up at the top instead of the bottom. This is so that they won't be covered up if your audience is watching you from an app, like the Instagram app. We optimized all the layouts for portrait streaming. You can even screen share on portrait mode. It looks best if you resize your browser to be a vertical format, like this. Try portrait mode today. Available on all plans. Happy streaming!
Awesome. So yeah, we're definitely excited about the addition. It's not fully available yet. It's still in the process of rolling out, but everyone should have access, if you don't already have access, sometime mid next week, right, Dan?
Yeah, quite a few of you will already have access. Some of you have already probably used it yourself. So yeah, it's in the process basically of rolling out in the next few days. I would say everybody should have access, and you'll get an announcement modal on your dashboard at some point as well. Awesome. Yeah, pretty exciting. Like we mentioned, if you have any specific questions, let us know. Maybe a few things that are worth covering. So this is available on all plans, free plan, everything. You can use portrait streaming. In terms of how it behaves on different platforms and when you might actually want to use this, I would say if you care first and foremost about Instagram, you should probably use Portrait Studio, because everything on Instagram is in portrait. And instead of getting kind of the blur, if you've streamed Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. Instead of the blur effect you get now where you have like a 16:9 video and then we blur the top and bottom, you'll just get the full 9:16. It'll use the screen space really well. So if you care about Instagram most, I would use it. And that could even be if you're multi-streaming. So you can actually stream in portrait to all the platforms. And it looks pretty good. So if you're on, say you stream to, maybe you stream to Instagram and YouTube, and someone's watching on YouTube on their phone, they'll also see it in portrait mode. So it looks quite nice. Same with Facebook, Twitch, LinkedIn, X, every single one of them. It looks like it's optimized for portrait and looks nice if someone is watching on their phone. So I wouldn't worry too much about Like if you want to stream first and foremost about Instagram, you care about Instagram most, I wouldn't worry too much that the other platforms won't work. They will definitely work. The thing you will get though is, I mean, obviously if you're on YouTube a lot, you'll notice that pretty much every video is landscape. You would have a portrait one on YouTube as well. So that's where, you know, you'd only want to do that if you care more about Instagram than YouTube, for example.
Yeah.
So I basically just consider which platform you care about the most. But whether you're in landscape or portrait, all the platforms will work.
Yep. And like Dan mentioned, if someone is watching on the phone from YouTube and they choose to full screen it, they will get that sort of native feel experience of it being in portrait mode.
Yep. And then of course you can also record. So if you care maybe about creating some shorts or something like that, and you're not even forget streaming, you just want to do some recordings, you can totally record in portrait as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, if anyone's had the chance to test it out and has feedback, would love to hear it, or just thoughts or feedback in general or requests in the future, definitely let us know. I see there's already quite a few questions here. Let's get to some of these. Yeah, I see one here, some similar ones, one from Chantel. I think the same question from Junctror, asking if the ability to go some in portrait, some in landscape. So it's something that we're definitely open to. In the first version, you have to pick either landscape or portrait. Like Dan said, the nice thing is, regardless of which format you're going live to, the platforms do a relatively good job supporting it. So even if you are streaming in vertical mode to X or YouTube, if someone's watching on mobile, they will be able to watch it in that vertical mode. The downside is for folks that, like a place like YouTube, where a lot of folks might be watching, or maybe not, I don't know what the exact ratio is, but if for folks that are watching on their computer, they're going to be seeing a vertical video, obviously, so it might not be ideal.
Yep. One thing I would say as well, where it gets a little tricky with portrait. So for example, if you have a background or an overlay or something that's highly optimized, well, for landscape, then it's not necessarily going to work as well on portrait. So if you really care about portrait, I would recommend uploading overlays and backgrounds that are optimized for portrait. And that also kind of gets to your point, Chantel. That's partly why we're not doing it the way you mentioned for now, is it just gets complex with things like overlays and backgrounds where you kind of need to have multiple versions of everything. Our example assets, so like these, you know, like we're using the green, whichever side it's on, the green background, video background that's included on StreamYard. Stuff like that is actually already optimized. So when you switch to portrait, it will just look like it's optimized for portrait already. It's just for overlays and backgrounds, video clips that you've uploaded. We'll kind of crop them or move them in different ways to try and make them work. But if you really care about portrait, I'd recommend actually uploading optimized ones. In a lot of cases, you want to just create a new brand for that, to maybe have your landscape assets in one brand and then portrait ones in another brand.
And Brad, I see your feedback there with some extra context on the MP4 background overlay feedback. So I appreciate that, Dan. I will take a look after this. Let's see here. Petty Talks TV says, is mobile is the portrait mode best for mobile watchers? So on most platforms like YouTube, for example, if you're watching on mobile, you can very easily watch 16:9, and in some ways that is the preferred experience for a lot of folks. So it's not necessarily the best. It kind of depends on the platform you're streaming to.
Yeah, I would say in general, for Instagram, if you care most about Instagram, I would stream in portrait. If you care more about any of the other platforms, I would stream in landscape.
Yep.
That's a general rule.
Let's see what else we had here. I see a couple of questions. One from Michael Daniels asking about recording versus live, and another one from Veronica about going live versus recording. So you can do both in portrait mode, right, Dan? Whether it's a recording or a live stream.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Let's see. Michael Daniels says, question, if we live stream from the computer, can we screen share? If so, do we have to be cautious of the sides of the screen share not showing? So yes,
okay.
if you're, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, sorry. So we basically, it's similar to how it works in the browser, where we kind of fill up as much space as possible. So what I would actually recommend, if you're streaming or recording in portrait, I would have your screen be close to portrait, because then that will kind of use the space as good as possible. Whereas if you screen share like your full monitor in landscape, we'll shrink it down so that it fits and everything's shown, but then it's gonna be pretty small. And all these people are watching on mobile, not necessarily ideal. Dan actually mentioned that briefly in the video too. So for example, if you're screen sharing a tab and you want it to show really well, you can kind of shrink it all the way down so it's portrait, and then it will fill up the space really well.
Awesome. Let's see here. Chris from Budgeting Just Because says, can I convert clips from my landscape stream to portrait mode? So yeah, go ahead.
We will automatically do it for you on all the ones you already have. Like basically, if you've already uploaded a landscape video clip and then you go into portrait mode and you just play it, we will automatically kind of play it however we think is probably best. Which in this case, I think we just have black bars on the top and bottom and then just play the video in the middle, which for most video clips is actually what you want. So it'll cover the whole screen. You'll have a video clip in the middle. Works nicely. If it's a background, we basically kind of blow it up and cut the sides off and just sort of center it, which works for most backgrounds because most backgrounds are just kind of a pattern or something. So it doesn't really matter that the sides get cropped off. So you'll see that just most of the stuff you've uploaded will just kind of work pretty well. But again, if you want to really optimize it for portrait, you may want to make a separate portrait one.
Cool. El Costco says, I recently purchased your membership. Is it possible to stream a pre-recorded session and continue with a live Q&A session? So you absolutely can. In the present tab, you'll have the option to basically share videos directly from your computer. So that's one popular way to do it, especially if you're sharing a longer video, is to use the present option to play that throughout the live stream. And the nice thing about doing it in that way is that you'll have the option to do anything at any time, whether that's showing comments on screen or after the pre-recorded video is over to do something like Q&A where you actually pop onto the screen yourself. If you are using the pre-recorded option where you actually upload the entire video beforehand, like specifically the pre-recorded feature, and that one, it's sort of designed for folks that maybe they're on vacation or they're going to be offline and they just want this to go off entirely without them. That doesn't have the option to do a live Q&A since it's sort of meant to be like you're not even there. But you can do what you're saying just using the studio itself.
Yep.
Uni says, I'm new to StreamYard and I've been using it on desktop, but wondering if I'm able to use it on mobile. Yes, you absolutely can use it on mobile, just from the browser of your mobile device, and you'll have access to the vast majority of StreamYard's features. So yeah, I'd encourage you to try it out. Maybe do an unlisted YouTube video to get a sense of, or just a recording to get a sense of everything you can do from the mobile version. And recently we did actually launch an app as well. The first version of the app is specifically designed for the guest experience. But we are working on a producer mode as well.
Yep.
Mike G Music says, when I invited a guest in for a recorded private podcast, their audio was coming through my monitor speakers. Is there no way to hear them in my headphones? You absolutely should be able to hear them in your headphones, Mike G. It's probably just some combination of making sure you have the right speaker set in StreamYard. I would guess that's the issue. But if you're not even seeing the speaker in StreamYard, it might have to do with just your audio settings on the computer itself. But if you go to StreamYard.com/contact, we have 24/7 live chat, and they'd be happy to help you troubleshoot and figure out how to make sure it's going to the right place.
Yeah, first thing just to try is enter the studio, click your settings button, and in the audio tab, you'll see there's the mic selection and then speaker. And there's a little button you can play just to hear what it sounds like. Make sure, see basically which speaker it's coming through. Just click that and see which one it's coming through. If it's coming through your monitor, then you should be able to just change your speaker right there.
Awesome. All right, tons of great questions here. Ross says, when you have a guest in portrait, is it top and bottom video windows versus side by side? Yes, when you have one guest, you'll be stacked on top of each other, but we also have various layouts to choose from the same way that you have when you're going 16:9. So you'll be able to select various layouts.
Yeah, good question. So yeah, there's an option that looks very similar to what Geige and I are like now, where you're side by side and kind of small. There's one where you're on top of each other. There's basically an equivalent of every layout that we have on Studio. We don't support custom layouts right this second, but we probably will within a week or two.
Awesome. Question from Marianne says, for dark mode, I recently changed my monitor position, so glare on my glasses of light mode is not optimal. Yeah, just a request for dark mode. I think I saw another question here asking if dark mode would ever come. Yeah, dark mode absolutely will come at some point. It's something that we plan on adding. Brad says, is there an easier way to add pictures on screen? Currently converting JPEGs to MP4s and adding through Present.
MP4s. So yeah, I guess a few options, Brad. So one is sometimes people just upload them as overlays. So in your brand tab, you can upload overlay images. The other one that's really common, if say you want to kind of do a slideshow with 20 different images and click through them. One way that works pretty well is if you just put them into a Google slide deck or a PowerPoint deck, and then you just share that PowerPoint deck on StreamYard, and then you can kind of seamlessly just click through them. We would like to make that process a little simpler so you don't have to kind of do that extra step. But a lot of people like to do that, especially if you're showing 50 images or something. That's a pretty simple way to do it.
Cool. I just realized I missed this question from before the stream started from EBM Scholars, who asked, when are you going to allow registrants on the webinars to pay? At the moment, we have to have free webinars or find other ways for people to pay. Can you incorporate this? When can we get it? Yeah, good question, EBM Scholars. So for folks that aren't familiar, StreamYard has a feature called On Air, which is basically StreamYard's own webinar solution, or just a way to do a private live stream and have it go to, like, say, YouTube and your own maybe WordPress or Wix website at the same time. And yeah, right now we have registration, but we don't have the ability to paywall it directly in StreamYard. Right now, you sort of have to work around with your own solution to do that. But that is absolutely something that we do want to support in the future. I don't have a date or anything, but stay tuned on that. We absolutely want to add it.
Yep.
All right, let's maybe do a couple more here before doing the giveaway for tonight. Another question about On Air. Chantel says, is there an option for adding a moderator rather than taking a seat for mods in StreamYard On Air webinars? You want to take that one, Dan?
That's a good question. So yeah, not right now. Everything needs is a seat, basically. But yeah, I think that's an interesting option.
Yeah, something we'll think about.
Yeah. And I'd be curious as well, just one extra question, Chantel. Would you want to assign it per webinar? Or is this something where you wouldn't mind having them across the account where they're basically a moderator of all on-air events and can maybe even see your upcoming broadcasts, kind of like a co-host on StreamYard? Or would you want it to be a little more specific where, like, no, I only want them to be the moderator for on-air broadcasts. I don't want them to see anything else on StreamYard. Let us know.
Great. We have a question from BJ Rain says, is there a way to talk to a guest or co-host while broadcasting live with it not going on air, maybe during a video or something? So I see what you're saying, BJ. So, like, while the stream is going on, a way to sort of like have an intermission and talk to the guest in the background. Right now, there is not a way to do that over video or audio. Like, you have access to the private chat. So that's generally like how folks will be able to communicate, like, hey, heads up, here's something that I want to say to you, without actually saying it over the air. But it is something that we've heard about before and that we're open to. We do have a feature called Green Room that is on some of the higher tier plans that basically does actually solve that, where it's slightly different, where it wouldn't give you the option to do it while the person was actually live in the video itself, but you would have this extra holding area to communicate with them before going on the stream. Anything to add to that one, Dan?
No, I don't think so.
All right, let's see what else we have here. Awesome, David. Glad that you're enjoying the mobile experience. Happy to hear that.
Cool.
Cayman, I see your comment there. Sorry you had an issue there. I'll maybe if you could also send an email, I can take a look as well. Let's see here. Is there anything else with vertical mode? Dimebag Coin says, will producer mode include a teleprompter? So I assume by producer mode, you mean like the producer option in the app itself, Dimebag. The first version, I think, will basically just try to replicate as much as we can in the current experience, which wouldn't include teleprompter, but it is something that we're open to.
Yeah, in general, we're open to a teleprompter, I would say. It doesn't come up too much, but something we've explored a little bit before too and kind of tested out ourselves a bit. But yeah, no plans to launch it immediately, but definitely open to it.
All right. Should we go ahead and queue up the giveaway for tonight, Dan?
I'm on it.
Maybe do one or two more while that gets queued up. Awesome, Hayden. Glad that you're enjoying StreamYard. Happy to hear that.
Cool.
Wanderer AUS says, is there a way to have a StreamYard shortcut to play a particular soundbite or music track in the music section during a stream?
So not yet. Yeah, we do have hotkeys for some stuff, but we don't have any where you can kind of bind it to a specific video or clip right now, but we would like that. So it is on our list. Hopefully, sometime relatively soon.
Yep. All right. I think many folks are already familiar, but at the end of these, we always do a giveaway. And tonight we'll give away a StreamYard pillow and a StreamYard duck. I think you can see both of them behind me. And to be eligible, all you have to do is type in #theyard. We'll give you maybe 10 seconds or so to get in your #theyards. And if you're ever interested in running a giveaway like this on your own, we actually made this tool available at StreamYard.com/giveaway. And you can run it exactly how we're doing it. And you can even choose your own keyword. Like instead of #theyard, you could choose whatever you want. Yeah, so give you a little bit of time there to get your #theyards in.
And there's our prizes.
There you go. All right, I think it's still going up. We have a question from Troy. Says, do you see opportunities to provide e-commerce support in the future? I'd love to learn more, Troy, about like the type of support you'd be interested in. Like the question earlier, like when it comes to being able to pay gate on air, that's definitely something that we're interested in doing. But maybe you mean other things like the ability to, integrate with something like, a Shopify or something like that. I'd be really curious specifically what type of stuff you'd like to see.
Cool.
All right, is the number still going up, Dan? Or I think it.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe give it 5 or 10 more seconds here.
Cool. Scientology says, can I run someone else's broadcast from my studio without having to log into their account with passwords, i.e. the person just authorizes it?
Yep. Yeah, so that's where we have the team accounts feature where you can basically add somebody else. So let's say it's you and a friend of yours, or basically somebody where you trust each other. They can just add you as an admin on their own account, and then you can basically just switch between your personal team and their team on StreamYard and go in and basically do anything. If if they trust you to be an admin, otherwise they can make you a co-host, which doesn't have nearly as much permissions. You can't go live or anything, but you can enter the studio and kind of help out with shows. So that's just in the members tab on the left side of the dashboard on StreamYard. I think we're good here, Geige.
All right, that's right.
Cool. Good luck, everyone. Big draw today.
Yeah, lots of folks.
All right.
Andreas, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight, and congrats on your new StreamYard duck and your StreamYard pillow. If you send an email to contact@StreamYard.com, the team can work with you to get your address and make sure we get you your items shipped.
Very cool. Congrats.
And Troy, yeah, absolutely. Email's a great way to do it if that's easiest for you. And same email address would be great. Contact@StreamYard.com. Maybe just put like feature suggestion or something in the title. Makes it a little bit easier for the team.
Yep.
All right. And with that, this was episode 261 of the StreamYard Live Town Hall. Thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure getting the chance to spend some time with you and get your feedback on the product. So we really appreciate it. We'll see you next week at the same time, Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific.
Always fun hanging out with you guys. See you next week.